So today we are talking about the essence of Ramadan to children. So our first question to you is, what is Ramadan? To have an answer from a scholar like you is going to be perfect. Yeah.
All right. Ramadan is one of the months on the Islamic calendar, and actually it's the 9th month on the Islamic calendar. And so Muslims are obliged to fast in the month of Ramadan, which is calculated by the lunar calendar. I mean the appearance of the moon and the disappearance of the moon. Mm-hmm. And so every year when the moon appears or when the month of Ramadan is ushered in, Muslims are obliged to fast. That is according to Quran chapter 2 verses 183, that Muslims should fast within the month of Ramadan. So Ramadan is a name of the month, just as we have January, February to December.
Yeah.
It's the same way we have the Arabic calendar or the Islamic calendar. Ramadan is the 9th month, and on that month, Muslims across the world observe fasting and do a lot of charity work and what have you. Yeah.
Okay, so please, speaking about the months, can you give us like another month on the Islamic calendar just for?
We have Muharram, the first month, Safar, Rabiul Awal, Rabiul Sani, Jumad al-Awwal, Jumad al-Thani, Rajab, Shaban, Ramadan. So after Shaban, we get to Ramadan. Then we get to Shawwal. Then we get to Zulqa'dah and Zulhijjah. Wow. The 12th month is the Zulhijjah, within which Muslims go for pilgrimage. That is, they all travel to Makkah, observe the rituals over there. So these are the months on the Islamic calendar.
Okay, so Uncle, please, what happens to some people who don't fast throughout Ramadan? Like, let's take it for example, I'm a child and I'm supposed to fast, but I don't fast on this day. So what happens to me?
When we look at the rules or the guidelines that is governing the Ramadan month, a child is not supposed to fast. But a child should be trained with fasting unless the child has reached the age of adolescence. From that time, the child is obliged to fast. In that case, if a child is, let's say, 5, 6, 7 years, or let me say even 10 years, they are trained with the fasting so that when they grow up to adolescence, they don't find it difficult anymore. And so on the Islamic rules, children are not, it is not compulsory for them to fast. But there are also a group of people who are, it's obligatory upon them to fast. And those who are optional, or let's say it is optional for them to fast. So for instance, if a female or a lady is breastfeeding a child, or if she is pregnant, she has the option to fast or to stop the fasting based on her health. If she thinks she can fast with the pregnancy, she can go ahead and fast. If she thinks she cannot, she can exempt herself from the fasting so that at an appropriate time, when she becomes strong enough to be able to pay the remaining days that he was not able to fast or she was not able to fast, then she can now fast in place of those days that she wasn't able to fast. So pregnant woman is optional for her. An old age, let's say somebody who is grown up to an age that, for instance, Chief Imam is 103 years today. And at his age, if he thinks he cannot fast based on, let me say, his health conditions, it's not compulsory upon him. But a youth like myself, a child who is, let me say, at his or her adolescent age, all of them are obliged to fast. So if you want to know about the issue of children and fasting, this is something small that I think I can say for now.
Okay, so Uncle, please, is there any punishment for an adult who doesn't fast throughout Ramadan?
If you don't fast, according to the Islamic rules, if you don't fast, Allah has said that He is the one that pays people for fasting. When it comes to the jurisprudence, nobody will beat you, nobody will cane you, but Allah is going to punish you for being a disobedient person. It's like Allah commanding you to pray, but you say, for me, I'm a Muslim, but I wouldn't pray. Like a Christian, you have been asked to go to church on Sunday. You have been asked to respect parents. You've been asked to attain religious.
Okay, so we are having some technical difficulties. So, like as we heard from him, you are not going to receive any physical. Okay, so we have him back. So let's have him on. Yeah.
Are you with me?
Yes, please.
Okay. So what I'm trying to say is that.
Oh, we're sorry, the connection is
it
not.
go contrary to the rule punish for fasting. But the measurement of that fasting is left with Allah alone. But on this earth, if let's say you omit one day from fasting, and maybe it is because of your own negligence, then it is obliged upon you, or you have to fast 60 days in place of that day that you didn't fast. That becomes a punishment for those who intentionally stop the fasting, so that Allah may forgive such people. So if you don't fast, the punishment there is with Allah. But if you want Allah to elevate that punishment, then you have to fast 60 days in place of the day that you decided not to fast.
Hey. Wow.
60 days. Okay.
Okay, so Uncle, can you tell us some benefits of fasting?
You are surprised a bit, right?
Yes, because it's.
Yes.
You know, when you read Matthew chapter 4, verses 2, let's say most of you there are Christians.
Yeah.
Matthew chapter 4, verses 2, Jesus fasted for 40 days and 40 nights, right?
Yes.
Yes.
And after which Satan tempted him. So if Christians are to follow the fasting procedure of Jesus Christ, if a Christian should begin his or her fasting today, he shouldn't end the fasting until on the 40th day. And I believe we cannot do it, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
But for the Muslims, we are told to fast only for the day. But in the night, we can stop the fasting and probably engage in certain things that were made haram, or let me say it was abomination on the day. For instance, eating is abomination, sleeping with a woman is abomination, backbiting, fornicating, all the social vices is abomination in the month of Ramadan. But in the night, let's say after you've eaten something in the night, there you can go to your wife if you have a wife. But if it has to do with fornication, it is very, 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 Allah becomes angry when you are fasting, asking for forgiveness, and on top of that, you are still fornicating, or you are still, let me say, committing acts of social vices in the community. So, when, let's say, you omit yourself from fasting, Allah has instructed us that on that day that you just decided that me, I will not fast, you fast in place of it 60 days. Or if you know you cannot fast, you pay a sum of money to release a slave from slavery. That's the second option. And if you cannot also, you don't have money to pay to release somebody from slavery, then the third option is that you feed 60 people. You feed 60 people. So it is not one option. We have option 1, option 2, and option 3. The third option is that if you cannot fast for 60 days, if you cannot get money to release somebody from slavery, then the third option is that you feed 60 days, 60 people. I mean poor people who are also fasting. You look for them, then you apportion some amount of money, or let me say some food items, you present it to them, so that Allah may forgive you for not fasting on the day that you were supposed to fast.
Okay, so Uncle, speaking of which, what you said that during the day we cannot involve ourselves in eating, sexual intercourse, fornicating, and all sort of things. So then, in the evening, can you do all those kind of things? And does it still surmount as a sin?
Yeah, the only thing you can do in the night or in the evening is having sexual relations with your rightful partner, that is only your wife
Oh, okay.
or your husband. Or you can eat and drink. But apart
As
from
in
that,
drinking alcohol.
fornication is abomination during the day and the night. Backbiting is abomination during the day and the night. All acts of social vices, drugs, and what have you. So, as a Muslim, fasting or the month of fasting is an education. It's a training. It's like a school that is training you to be able to abstain from all sort of social vices. You know, in Ghana here, we are battling with corruption. We are battling with theft. Today, you go here, people are chasing others to rob them. People are stealing. People are beating each other. So, as a Muslim, fasting came to be able to train you. So if you are able to stay for 30 days, you didn't backbite. You stayed for 30 days, you didn't fornicate. You stayed for 30 days, you didn't steal. You didn't lie. You didn't involve yourself in any, let me say, social vice or any act of indecency. Then, after the Ramadan is over, you replicate the same attitude in the rest of the month.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean after Ramadan you don't have to steal, but you don't have to steal in Ramadan. But after Ramadan you can steal. No, that is not the case.
Oh, okay.
But as human beings, sometimes we make mistakes, we commit errors, and so when Ramadan comes again, it comes to strengthen it, so that at least all those who might have committed any act of indecency before will now learn to abstain themselves from all these acts. I believe you get me.
Yes, please. So, Uncle, may I ask, does Ramadan help us strengthen our faith with Allah? Because I know whilst you are fasting, you have to be reading your Quran and praying. So does it strengthen our faith with Allah?
It actually strengthens our faith. Even if you're a Christian, and let's say you want to be practical, you want to practice the Ramadan fasting. But when you begin fasting, you don't steal, you don't backbite, you don't fornicate, you always read your Quran, and if you're a Christian, you read your Bible, and you don't involve yourself in any corruption for the rest of the 30 days. Imagine how pure you will become. And we all know that God is pure. Allah is pure and holy. So when you pass through all this training, you become pure and holy. And when you are holy, you go closer to Allah, and it builds your relationship with your Lord.
Yes.
I hope you get the explanation.
Yes.
So Uncle, please, with the Ramadan, you said that you have to look for 60 people and feed them if you can't fast in place of the 60 days.
Yes.
So since you are going to be feeding 60 people, what if one person wants to share with like maybe 5 people? Do you still have to feed the?
I don't really get your question. Can you reframe it?
I mean that like if all of us, like let's take it for example, everybody here, like we are all 60 here. And then the person who couldn't fast will have to share it, food. So when he gives it to one person, maybe that one person wants to share with another person. But that person wants to like still give food to the remaining 59.
That one is optional.
I think what is important is that you fed 60 people. I think that's
so. In basic schools, like we've learned
about.
If
you have the money and you can feed more than that, that is up to you. But the limit is that you should feed 60 people. Let's say from morning, afternoon, evening. How much do you think can feed somebody like me? Let's say if I should take 10 cedi in the morning, 10 cedi afternoon, and 10 cedi in the evening, you multiply this 30 cedis by 60, and you feed people with 30 cedi each. 60 people, you feed them with 30 cedi each. So if one person decides to share his 30 cedi with maybe his wife or maybe his child or whatsoever, that depends on the person and his choice, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So, Uncle, can you tell us some of the benefits of fasting?
The benefits of fasting,
Yes.
we have spiritual benefits. That is what we've just spoken about. It elevates you to be more pure, to be more sincere, to be more truthful, because you don't have to lie. And you know, even when you go to Sunday school, you are taught how to respect elders, how to be truthful, how to be kind, how to be generous, how to be merciful, how to be patient. Ramadan teaches us all these things. And so when you are able to learn all these things in the month of Ramadan, you become pure, and spiritually, you will feel you have some things within you that you have grown spiritually intrinsically. That is how you feel. And you will even have the faith that if you die within that time, since you have not embarked in any sin for the rest of the 30 days, you are just going straight to paradise. That's the spiritual benefits. Wow. When you have to also talk about economic benefits. Now we are talking about helping people, supporting the poor, the needy. We have a lot of poor people in the community. We have orphans who are in the orphanage. We have people when their parents die, they don't have anybody to take care of them. When Ramadan comes, it teaches us that we should be able to stretch a helping hand to all of them. Those who need education, we have to give to them. Those who need health care, we have to provide for them. Those who also need, let me say, they want to learn trade, they want to get into any sort of business, or let me say, they want to learn something like seamstress or carpentry, we have to take them and help them to also be able to feed themselves in the future. So economically, Ramadan came to educate us so that we can help those who need help. You don't have to eat alone. Let's say if you are rich and you've not been hungry before, sometimes when you see a hungry person, you wouldn't be able to feel for the person. But if you also fast for the 30 days and you test how hunger is, when you see somebody on the street and the person is crying and the person is suffering, you feel for the person and you will have to help such a person. So economically, this is the benefit we get from the month of Ramadan. Health-wise, you know, when you fast and you have a lot of fat in your system, and because you've emptied your stomach for a very long time, and all the fats and the other things in your system will come out of your body as urine or sweat. Those who are fasting will attest to this, that when you fast and the time is approaching around 4 or 5, when you go out to urinate, you will get to realize that your urine becomes more yellowish. This tells you that there are a lot of sicknesses, there are a lot of enzymes, or let me say some metabolic items in your system. I'm not good at science, so I'm not using the terms right. But what I'm trying to say is that there are a lot of sickness that are hidden in your system. When you stay away from food and water, your body will excrete those sickness rather come out as feces. But there's no food, so what will have to come out is what? Is the sicknesses, the fat, or other things that are in your system that will have to come out. So after the 30 days, you regain a lot of strength and you regain a lot of energy to be able to work again. So these are some of the benefits that we get from the month of Ramadan.
Okay, sure. Okay, so Uncle, please, what are some myths about Ramadan?
Please, can you come again?
What are some myths about Ramadan?
Some merits.
Myths.
Myth. Okay. Some of the myths about Ramadan is that, like you were discussing, Muslims, they eat it at the dawn, and then they are satisfied, and so therefore, when they are fasting, they don't even feel it. But my sister, I can tell you that if you eat even around the morning, around 7 o'clock, or you take your feeding fee, you go to school, you buy food in the morning, and you don't get food in the afternoon, look at how you feel. You see the thing. So even if you've eaten morning and you don't eat in the afternoon, you are not going to feel comfortable in the day. So these are some of the myths around Ramadan fasting. And there are people who also say that when you are fasting in the month of Ramadan, you can fast 3 days in place of it. That is, you can fast day and night for 3 days. Let's say 3 days and 3 nights. And that will be in place of the month. That is not true. That is false. And there are people who also believe that Allah or God only punish people in the month of Ramadan. So in the month of Ramadan, they become so pure, they become so holy, they become so submitted, they become so kind, but after the month is over, then they go back to their old ways. This is not the fact. This is not true. The truth is that Ramadan is there to train you so that after the month, it's like you are a student, you are going through all this training in school. The Eid or the Eid al-Fitr is like a graduation. So after the Ramadan month is over, you go to the field to go and celebrate. You cook food, you share it with people, your neighbors, irrespective of being a Muslim or Christian, you share it with them. After that, you go to the field to practice what you've learned in the month of Ramadan. Right? Yes, so those who have the mentality that if Ramadan comes, I should be holy, but after Ramadan, I should go back to my devilish ways, that is not true. So these are some of the myths surrounding the month of Ramadan.
All right. So in basic school, we learned about.
So before you ask a question, this is going to be the final question.
Okay. So like in basic school, we learned about the 5 pillars of Islam. So I would like to ask, during the Ramadan, do you still practice some, or is it the same as song as the 4th pillar?
Do you still practice what?
The song. You see, like we have 5 pillars of Islam. Do you have to practice all the 5 during the Kalima Shahada? Like you have to declare that Allah is Savior and all that again, all over.
If you are fasting, fasting is an additional obligatory.
Right.
It's like a student, you have to write your quiz, you have to write your class test, you have to write, but when there's more, it becomes addition. It doesn't take away the old exercises you were doing on campus.
Right.
So in the month of Ramadan, it doesn't take away your faith from Allah. It doesn't take your belief or your practices of salat. You have to, this is the time that you have to, it will even strengthen you to be more Allah conscious or God conscious. That is when you have to give charity. That is zakat. Zakat is one of the pillars of Islam. So Ramadan came to strengthen you so that you can give more to the poor and the needy. Ramadan came to tell you that when you get the money or the wealth, go to Hajj. Go and practice the 5th pillar of Islam. So Ramadan doesn't take away any act of Islam, but rather it comes to fulfill it and strengthen whatever you were doing before.
Okay, so that's nice. So unfortunately and sadly, that's all we have. Time is not on our side today. But I hope you enjoyed today's discussion and you've learned a lot of things. And we also want to thank Shaikh Ismail Muhammad for enlightening us on some interesting facts about Ramadan. So please, do you have any last words for us before we end this segment?
What I have to say is that I give thanks to Almighty Allah and to Joy Prime for always calling on us whenever the need arises for us to come and share our thoughts and knowledge on how Islam is really practiced. We thank the studio, Madam Sarah, and all the crew. I thank all of you there too for participating in the discussion. Our listeners from all over the country. I shared the link with those who are even outside the country. I don't know if it's going to be on Facebook. A lot of people are going to enjoy this.
It's live on Facebook.
Yes. Nuru, Anas, Abdallah, Abu Trika, and the Imam, and all the people around. I want to wish all of them Ramadan Mubarak, and I pray that we have Laylatul Qadr, that is the night of decree, the night of destiny. We pray that Almighty Allah bless us with this night. My wife Nasira is also around me, and then my twins Hassan and Hussein, all my family, this school, and all of them. I want to say thank you to everybody that has participated and contributed to this discussion. Ever since you gave me the information, a lot of people have contributed to make this day a fruitful one. So Dr. Said and all of you, I thank all of you, and I pray that Almighty Allah elevate all of us and grant us success in this age, and also grant us a relief in the day of judgment. Thank you very much, and may Almighty Allah bless you all.
Thank you too. So that was Shaikh Ismail Muhammad, and I hope you guys enjoyed today's CPS segments. Charlie, what do you guys think? Do you enjoy it?
Yes, I am.
It was really educative, and I've learned, me personally, I've learned a whole lot of stuff. So guys, stay tuned. The word of the day segment is up, and this is for Kids Paradise.